music no one can ever refuse it. Pulsating, vibrating, reggae, reggae, reggae. Very sky, rock, steady, mental, a quadrillion, a cool minute.
Yes. Buiti Binafe.
Ah, beautiful. Sereme, thank you. I receive it.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So you're going to tell us what's been going on and before you do that, Courtney, start the meeting now, please.
Yes, good morning to the listeners and viewers of the Real Stuff podcast. Today is Tuesday and we are having Indigenous Outlook with Cynthia Ellis, aka Queen Lubafu, Global Ambassador to the Garifuna Nation. And we'll be talking about our journey and things Garifuna. So back to you, Flavius, our co-host.
Yes, ma'am. You could tell us what is happening. I'm seeing that you have started something new.
Yes. First of all, Happy New Year.
Oh, yes. That too, yes. Happy New Year, yes. Very good to have you. Very good to have you. Especially so early in the new year. Yeah, man, you set the tone, set the pace.
Thank you. Same here, Flavius. It's been a beautiful 2023 and 2024 will be better. It will be a blast. I'm here in the lovely town of San Ignacio, which is on the border with Guatemala. Belize, which is a hop, skip, and a jump. We're in Guatemala. That's a beautiful thing about Belize,
Oh, yes.
Border circles, like up north, we're close to Mexico. Hop, skip, and a jump. So you can have breakfast in Mexico and you can have dinner in Guatemala, whichever way you want to begin,
Yes.
Yeah, now the new year for me is beautiful and just reinforcing 2023 to be more vocal, to be more clear and reaching out to people around the world about our indigenous way of being. Those of us who live here in Belize, Central America, often take it for granted that we have over hundreds of Maya pyramids here, which is like, you don't have to go to Africa to experience Africa or indigeneity. We are here, Garifuna, we are here, different cultures and groups and so on. So I got this vision last year to celebrate, really spend the time celebrating the treasures that we have, the treasures that we are as a people, and share them with the world. So I came into the presence of my father, who transitioned many years ago, Godsman Celestino Ellis. And then it came to me that we don't need to wait for other people to celebrate us. We can do our own celebration, So I set up, with the help of others, a center for Godsman Celestino Ellis Center for Garifuna Culture. And it's been a very exciting time. We established it on his birthday, November the 9th last year. And the idea is to really have a focal point where we can identify through his life, as an example, many of the gifts and the treasures that we have to offer as indigenous people, as Garifuna people, for the world, for humanity. So it's been an awesome journey so far.
Okay, wonderful. You probably need to take us a walk, give us a walk through one of these days.
Oh, yes. Well, the center is not a physical location only, and we learned through COVID and even by how we are communicating right now that virtual is where it's in terms of widening our world, our understanding. And so Garifuna culture, we want to claim that virtuality long before there was WhatsApp and these kinds of gadgets that we now have.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were able to communicate and sense a lot of things through our Garifuna spirituality, through our Africanness, through our indigenousness. And maybe you might hear me have spoken sometimes when we were challenged with the communicating that we need to go back to the coconut wireless,
Yeah.
in a manner of speaking. So it is not accidental that we are connecting and that we are connected. And that is the thrust for 2024, to reaffirm, to take back, to align with our relatives, our brothers and sisters around the world, that Garifuna culture is for everyone. So I love it how our brother Courtney started off with the Buiti Binafi. That was very precious. And that
Oh,
is
yes.
what it is about. Our language is not exclusive.
Yes, yes. Hello, go ahead, keep going.
Uh-huh. So one of the things we're looking at is the theme of walking the talk, and the Jimmy Cliff, many rivers to cross. We have
Yes,
that as one of our theme songs in Garifuna, that we have crossed many rivers, we are crossing many rivers, and we have many rivers to cross. And I remember on my journey 2 years ago on the pilgrimage to the United States, in the United States during the height of COVID, where I was blessed to travel from one end of the US to the other, reaching to Niagara Falls. And on reaching the Underground Railroad Museum in Niagara Falls, that was one of the themes of the museum. It was many rivers to cross. And it is beautiful how these themes circle around the world. So one of the rivers we are crossing and presenting is trauma. The world is traumatized for various reasons, and we as indigenous people and people of African ascent, this I never said descent, we have experienced a lot of trauma. Yet in spite of that, we are here. So how do we look at the lessons that we've learned through the trauma, in affirming and celebration, and encouraging ourselves, encouraging each other to press through strategic planning for the year and years to come, for present and future generations. So rather than complaining about what we do not have and the situation with young people and involvement of youth, our strategy, we had a think tank this year on my birthday, Flavia, January 16th. I celebrated my birthday,
okay.
gathering together some leaders, and listening to these leaders and getting guidance from the leaders, mainly Garifuna leaders, but not exclusively, to see where do we go from here? How do we walk the talk in terms of sustainable development? How do we use the treasure of our song and our dance and our music and the beauty of who we are to break cycles of so-called poverty, to break cycles of ill health, to break cycles of environmental abuse? So we had a wonderful gathering of leaders on the 16th, and on the 17th we had a town hall meeting, which gave us a number of guidelines on how we can zero in for 2024. We had awesome panelists. We had Princess Nana from Ghana, who lives in Trinidad. We had Dr. Michael Witter from Jamaica, your own Jamaica. who is retired economist from the University of the West Indies. We had Justice Courtney Abel. We had Dr. Denise Thompson. Many awesome panelists who would guide us, who guided us in our conversation. And we held it at the University of the West Indies Global Campus in Belize City. And our keynote, our opening remarks came from none other than Dr. Charmaine Saunders. The beauty about it is that this was an indigenous-led gathering, and we're very excited about sharing this with the rest of the world.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Well, yeah. So Cynthia, as you explain about the culture, I've read something recently that the Garifuna people are the only Black demographic people in the Americas that retain their indigenous culture. And I was shocked.
You are? Come on.
No, the reason why I was shocked, I'm saying I was always thinking that would be the Asians.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting point you're making, and I love the question because through colonization, what we are learning to be very careful about is who defines us, who does the research, and how we define and interpret ourselves. So that's why I was very thrilled that you were speaking Garifuna, because we are relatives. And as relatives, we are not putting an arrogant stance on who we are. We are all connected, you know? So I would want to say that, yes, the relatives in IT are part of our connectivity. So we have been labeled by circumstances, and now in this 2024, we need to bring it all together ourselves. I learned when I was living in Buffalo, New York, that I went to a Polish church, a Polish-speaking church, and was amazed that I knew the language that the Polish were speaking. I understood a lot of the words. So out of curiosity, I found out that when Napoleon he brought Polish to fight against the Haitian people, the Polish refused to fight the Haitian people in the revolution, and they stayed. And so what happened was that the Polish mixed up with the Haitian people there. And so very clearly from way back when we have had a connection. Because how could I understand these words, you know? So the point I'm making is we are more similar than we are different. So I wouldn't want to take credit for the Garifuna alone, because we have a lot of work moving forward in defining our connectivity. We connected to Jamaica in more ways than one, because during the colonial times, the enslavement process brought the enslaved from Jamaica to Belize and to Central America. So there's a lot of crisscrossing that has taken place. So we have a lot more work to do in learning more about one another, you know?
Yes, definitely, yes. Yes. But I mean, you have made a start, a big start, and you know, it's a matter of continuing now and bringing in more people. More important that we keep adding different people from different countries.
Right.
Putting everything together, putting everybody together, everyone, you know. I think that is wonderful.
And your program, a program like this, is a very important vehicle for doing this, because we are being intentional about learning more and getting to know more about one another, you know? So that's the thread for the coming for Garifuna, for the Guzman Celestino Ellis Center for Garifuna Culture. It's not an exclusive, it's a model, it's a beacon of light for having this conversation for ourselves and for the rest of the world, for
Yeah.
reinforcing who we have always been and taking the responsibility not to define ourselves or justify ourselves or explain ourselves to anybody, but really to reach our stretch our hands out to one another and just make it one big circle, you know?
Very, 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 very important, you know, and we appreciate that, you know, you realize or you acknowledge that what our aims are as far as giving a platform for in, indigenous people to put their thoughts, words, and deeds out there. Because our philosophy is that we have waited too long, or to continue to wait to be defined by others when we have all the skills, all the knowledge to define ourselves. And we have to define
Exactly.
ourselves. You know, we have to. And we have to be writing about ourselves. We have to laugh at ourselves. I wrote up
Yep.
some papers a long time ago, and I say the Caribbean is in a bad shape because probably 190, 90 plus, high 90s% of what is coming in our living room, in our bedrooms, and whatever is from outside.
That's right.
And if we don't change that statistic, we're in serious trouble. We have to be writing about ourselves. We have to be putting on visuals about ourselves. You know, we have our comedy, we laugh at ourselves, you know, we cry. We are doing what we are doing, you know. We are doing what we are doing.
Just I'm challenging myself and I'm challenging us to. This is a revolutionary step that we are taking because what I am saying is that same old will not work. And I am not going to put my energy into attacking the established institutions and individuals and leaders who have failed us, who have dropped the ball. That's a waste of time and energy. And let me be very specific. University of the West Indies has failed us. And I'm putting myself out here on the line by saying that much as that is my alma mater, and I appreciate that the University of the West Indies exists. However, when it comes to indigeneity, affirmation, proclamation, we are still waiting for the University of the West Indies to be grounded. And I can and I will list a number of other agencies and entities in the Caribbean region that have dropped the ball. So this is how revolutionary and radical the conversation is moving, Flavius. How could we have a University of the West Indies that does not have a sound, solid Department of Archaeology that includes the fact that hundreds of pyramids exist in Belize and in Central America that give precious information about the way of life of our people, about the ways in which we can address some of these issues of climate change. You know, the Maya who were here before us and the indigenous Garifuna who were here in the region before. And of course, Haiti, the first Black independent nation in the region. How can we have plans without including those facts and those people? I am charging myself, I am charging us, and charging our institutions to step into the power of who we are. And we will continue the conversation with or without them. I'm talking about the Caribbean Development Bank, which recently approached a group of us a network of Maroon and indigenous people asking us to comment on some plan and conversation they will be having after 40 years, Flavors. 40 years. What's that about? I find it very embarrassing. It is good that they're prepared to have the conversation now, but that conversation or this conversation must be had in consultation with indigenous and Maroon and Garifuna people. And don't forget Haiti in the process. Or else the conversation is going to be empty and same old, same old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You see, the problem with the Caribbean is that we are taking too long to let go the coattails of the oppressors.
Exactly.
We still want to, you know, we want to leave, but they have to be close by. If we make a misstep, they will grab us. That needs to change. And that needs to change like immediately. And if we don't change that, same old, same old. We will be in the same position 100 years from now. Speaking about the same thing, you know, what have we done, you know?
To change the narrative. And we're not saying to throw these institutions under the bus or that we don't have time for them. What we are doing, what I am doing, is taking the leadership to put the energy into a different kind of narrative, like this
Yes.
one we're now, you know? And
Oh, yes.
rather than following them, let them follow us. Let us lead the conversation.
Oh, we
Let
have
us
to.
be the ones. If it's 5 people we have in a room, Flavors, that's okay.
Oh, yeah. But you see, the thing that we we can run, we can talk, but we still prefer when we get those things from people in the north, people from Europe, you know, we still want them to come in and advise us, come in and do things for us that we can do for ourselves easily. And
Absolutely.
that's the major thing we need to change. And we
So
you know, find a way to bring it out so that people understand why it changes. So not just necessary, but critical.
it
It's
is that
critical that
the young people.
the changes are made. Oh yes, oh yeah. We have to understand where things came from and where we can go and where we have to go, where we need to go.
Well,
Cynthia, I thought just came to me while you were speaking and talking about the skills of people. Have you ever think about having a indigenous skill bank or
Oh,
gather information to
big
create
American.
a skill bank with the indigenous
That,
people?
that, that I would work on immediately.
that's what we are doing. It's no longer Cynthia Ellis, Flavius, Courtney. It's all of us who have treasures and gifts to bring to the table, having this dialogue and being proactive with it and taking the leadership in the area of strength and expertise that we have. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. It's not accidental that we met
Okay.
virtually and did some of our best work during the height of COVID. So that goes to show that we have everything that we need and we have everything that it takes. So we are the ones to set up a skill bank. It's nothing complicated for us to send. I mean, just your database alone is amazing of the people that you have interviewed, of the stories and testimonies and the triumph that you
Oh
have
yes.
only exposed yourself to, but you've exposed to the world. So we have the makings of a skill bank already. So in this 2024, our challenge is to strategically align our skills and our talents with the rest of the world, our world. And we already have a university without walls. We don't have to do things the way others have done it. It's not to say that we are not going to be interacting with them. We can. However, we can interact with the colonial institutions and the neo-colonial institutions using our expertise, our leadership to command and to demand the respect, the fact that we were here before them. They came from other parts of the world and they stole our knowledge. They stole our resources. They brutalized our people. We experienced genocide. However, we are still having dialogue and conversation with them. That does not mean that we have to acquiesce to their way of being. We are the ones who have the responsibility to look in the mirror and to affirm ourselves and move forward. I really don't spend much time critiquing or commenting about what was done to us, because we have a lot of catching up to do. And in order to do this catching up, we need to develop our blueprint and put the pieces together like a jigsaw puzzle to make it one.
Oh yes. But as you spoke about the institutions that have dropped the ball, we do have some institutions that the Caribbean is going the other direction, which is promoting our people and bringing things together. One in particular that is happening right now is a company out of Turks and Caicos airline that has started out small and is now covering most of the Caribbean, Inter-Caribbean Airways. In fact, they are premiering a new service tomorrow from Barbados to Jamaica, Kingston, non-stop. And I think that is very incredible and very credible of them, because they're going to be covering all the Caribbean. And the most important thing I think in that is a Caribbean airline, Caribbean owned airline, not from outside. I think that is very, very powerful. Very powerful.
That I don't believe in throwing away the baby with the bathwater. By that I mean we have been so entrenched in the structures that is not like we're going to overnight have a new way of being. I do believe that it is very important to interact with these entities that have failed us and hold them accountable and have an overhauling. It may not be possible overnight because maybe change is like next to impossible for them. However, I would not behave as if these entities do not exist. So it's to find a way of balancing and take the responsibility of finding innovative ways in which we can be sustainable, and as you said, the word small. We have we have brilliant, genius people all over the world who are giving their brilliance to other entities. I usually say to people who are materially wealthy that nothing is wrong with being wealthy. I mean, I want to be a billionaire myself. The point is that as you have your millions and your billions, give back. Give back of some of those resources, your time, your energy. I am, for example, doing a lot of work with young people here in Belize, meaning listening to the trauma that they are experiencing, that a lot of us seemingly are avoiding. We would rather speak to the output, the violence, the crime, and rather than look into the root of the trauma that we are all traumatized. We have to be, having gone through the history that we've gone through. So I am asking, for example, if we can have professionals who would make themselves available to do some pro bono work, counseling, legal
Yes.
advice, and so on and so forth. So the level of accountability is not just with our people, the people who we feel or allegedly have failed us, but we ourselves. How much are we prepared to put back? Hundreds of people have gone to the University of the West Indies from Belize. They come back and they live amazing lives. I'm not having a problem with that. The challenge is, what do we give back to our community, the very community that made it possible for person A, B, or C to get a scholarship or the opportunity to go to university? Our taxpayers' money paid and made it possible. So that's just one of the small areas that I'm looking at. Engineers, marine biologists, attorneys, technicians, all these people, if we do as Courtney is saying, take stock of a skill bank, we have everybody and everything that we need, including the money.
Oh yes. For me, that's a brilliant idea. Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. Brilliant. And I think we should not just mention it now, but we should jump at it and start doing something. Don't wait on anybody else. But we
We
can.
will, and
We have the skill
that's
set to get it going.
what Flavors, that is what the Godsman Ellis Center is about. My
Okay.
father, Godsman Celestino Ellis, was born in so-called poverty. As
Mm-hmm.
a he was brought to Belize from Honduras and given to his grandmother to raise, my great grandmother, right? And that man who used to go to school barefoot was one of the most brilliant people I have ever known. Not just because he's my dad, but he pioneered
Mm-hmm.
many things. Open scholarship, went to Canada. He could have stayed in Canada and just forget about Belize. But he came back, and when he came back, he pioneered many things. He pioneered the first agricultural school for the country, tourism, a whole set of things that this man did. And this
Okay.
is the kind of model we are going to look at. Because there are many people like him in our communities.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. And we need to bring them out. We need to we need to put them forward.
Exactly. You know what else happened, Flavors, that we discovered? The Dr. Joseph Palacio, brilliant man, was living in one of the remote Garifuna villages in the country, right, called Barranco. And he is the
Mm-hmm.
first archaeologist from Belize, Garifuna, and the first
Yes.
anthropologist. But because the people who are archaeologists don't look like me and you,
Oh
and
yes.
because institutions like the University of the West Indies is not promoting archaeology or anthropology, even though this man was the head of the university here in Belize, University of the West Indies for a while, he was never, he has never fully been acknowledged and recognized the way how the archaeologists and anthropologists from other parts of the world have been. So I
Yes.
started to Mona, Jamaica. I just discovered they have a department of archaeology at the University of the West Indies. They call it the Global University now. And I asked them, how come would you consider having a department of archaeology in Belize? No, the first thing people want to come up with is that we have the money, the time, the resources. This not require no lot of money. It just requires declaring it because we are already doing the work. The Maya pyramids are not going to go anywhere. The Garifuna and the Maya people are not going to go anywhere, you know? So we have just to build on and take stock of the treasures that we have. And when I talk about treasures, I'm not just talking about people, I'm talking about artifacts. I'm talking about treasures that are literally lying in museums and universities in the United States, Canada, and Europe.
Yeah. They come and they take what they want, and we don't do anything about it.
Thank you. So this
Yes.
conversation is one of accountability. As I say, I'm very sure that we are the ones that need to look in the mirror, take stock, and do the work. And we can include our students and our young people. What stops us from getting students from high school, primary school, elementary school, university to participate and sit down with some elders, for example, and list the different plants and the stories and the uses and the meanings? Nothing stop, nothing stop us. Does not require no lot of money. You could start with your grandparents, you know, your relatives in your own family and immediate community.
Yes. Definitely. 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 I think, you have charted a serious and very potential way forward. I mean,
Yeah,
we can't wait until next year. I mean, we are in a new year now. It's that excellent place to start, time to start. And if we have the thoughts, as somebody will always say, if you can think about it, then you can do it.
exactly.
It's simple as that.
And we have a track record. Jamaica has a track record. Make a turn to Jamaica now. I'm not going to pick on you. But look,
Please do. Please do.
Charlie, let me just give some names. I don't have to say anything. Just call the names. Marcus Garvey.
Hmm.
Huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me give some names.
Yeah, you can't get bigger than that. Hmm.
So we have Nanny of the Maroons. Huh? If you want to go way, 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 way back.
Back, yeah. Oh,
Not
yeah.
just not we have the template, we have the track record, we have the models, we have the mentors, you know, we are
And
already,
now, and now we have that what was lacking before. We have the will.
that's
The
right,
will was always lacking, but we have that now.
that's that's right.
So
We
we are
have the
we are
university
we are
without,
we are unstoppable.
that's right, Flavors. We have
Yeah.
the university without borders. Let me tell you what happened to me the other day. Six I most of the universities, I want to say six, I hope. Anyway, the point is that they all came from the United States last year. I can't even remember the month. That time flies so beautiful. And they were talking about coastal zone management.
Oh yeah.
And listen, Flavors, I am thankful that the spirit of my ancestors is calming me down to be strategic, to be purposeful, and not get locked into emotion. Because that's what can happen to us too, right? We get
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
frozen by our
Oh yeah.
emotions. I went to this gathering, it was so beautiful. And they are doing what they call restoration of the reef. Um, we have the second largest, most pristine barrier reef in the Americas, in the world, because the one in Australia is dying, okay? If it's not dead already. But anyway, the point is that the coast, Garifuna settled on the coast. It's
Yeah.
sacred. is sacred to us, right? So I went to this gathering and I didn't see anybody that looked like me the first gathering night, right? So I was like, well, maybe they're not started. But then they asked me to introduce, they were introducing one another. And I introduced myself. And you couldn't hear a pin drop in the room. I said, I am ambassador at large for the Garifuna Nation. And my purpose is to be the voice of the voiceless indigenous people in Belize, in this, in the region, in fact, in the world. So the next day, I had invited. Now listen to this, though. It was held at a resort, and I invited some Garifuna people just in case. Do you know that the one person who I invited was the one person and maybe two others who participated in a conference, in a conversation that is on Garifuna land. And this happens all the time. So we had some drummers there, and the drummers did very well. That was beautiful. Do you know after the drummers they did their drumming, they left? And I'm saying, but this is about your land, this is about your people, and you are not included in the conversation. So I started to present that fact in the meeting, and that changed the entire narrative. You see, I was not disrespectful. Now we are having a conversation where all these entities, not just the universities, are beginning to consider that absence, that void in the narrative. So this is what we all need to do strategically, and it's beginning to happen. You understand? The lady, the person who came to the gathering was intimidated because of the location of where the gathering was being held, and she did not feel comfortable in that space. That is no excuse, you know? So we need to be strategic with one another to ensure that we accompany one another so that we can have our voices heard. Because if we keep quiet, nothing is going to happen. And we can do it professionally, we can do it eloquently. My niece, who is the first Black woman to have gone to Antarctica, I have pictures to show, send me information about a documentary that was done by the BBC, and I'm going to send it to you, where they're beginning to take notice of indigenous voices when it comes to environmental and climate change issues. So we can have a program moving forward. You can have a program where we can zero in on some of these successes that have been taking place around the world, okay? In California.
Wonderful. We need that, yes.
To get back 100,000 acres of land that they had thought they lost long ago. So let's focus on this kind of campaign where we are overcomers. Right now, Flavius, I'm getting ready, God willing, ancestors willing, to go to Rome, St. Vincent, our sacred island of Balisau was sold. How that be? That should be a heritage site. Well, the Prime Minister of Vincent is now considering changing that. So that is a beautiful thing. However, guess what? We have a level of responsibility as Garifuna people around the world. If each of us give $1, and let's say it's almost 1 million of us, we should be able to secure and pay for that sacred space and not be waiting for any government, any wisher to do it for us. We have two players and Courtney.
Yeah. It's a wonderful idea because I'm just thinking that I saw a 2019 census that says there are over 200,000 Garifuna people in New York City alone.
That's right. That's right, brother. That's right. So this is an example. It's not just about Garifuna anymore. It's all of us. Because you are
Yeah.
Garifuna. I'm going to start to say, "Boy, it's been happy to me." Well, you know the story done, okay? But that's how I went to when this Karen Bass in Los Angeles was campaigning. She was a representative, like a legislative, like a wider representative, and she decided to campaign to be mayor, and she won. And so she was having a gathering, first time, of migrants in Los Angeles. She wanted the feedback. So when she heard or she was introduced to me as from Garifuna, she looked at me and she said, "You need to be on this panel." I said, "Really?" She said, "Yes, because you are one of the largest population of immigrants in Los Angeles.
Wow.
So the
Okay.
fact is, with us, you all in the diaspora, we need you in the conversation because you
Yeah.
are in it for the belly of the beast, for want of a better term, where you
Right.
understand the systems and the structures work.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
This
know if
has
you
been
heard
a wonderful
in
time.
Canada,
Yeah.
before we leave Davis, in Canada, I heard, and this is really inspired me a lot. People in the United States sending money, barrel, and all kind of thing, all kind of time, right? Here in Belize, if it were not for people living in the United States, I guess a lot of families would starve and suffer. So I think it was Jamaica that decided that you set up your own Western Union type of entity. You know, these are the kinds
Mm-hmm.
of things that we look at because we look at our economic worth, our economic value. Um, Before I went to Jamaica the other day, last year, January, when I went, I learned that the Maroons, when you do a validation of the land and the wealth in the Maroon, like cockpit country or wherever, they approach the World Trade Organization to do an assessment of what the economic value of that is. And that
Mm-hmm.
inspired us here in Belize because then you come to the table of negotiation and navigation not from a place of poverty, but from a place of economic wealth. So the
Oh,
language
yeah.
now becomes powerful. And this is
Oh,
what
yes.
I say to the leaders here in Belize, the Maya and the Garifuna, don't speak from a place of beggars, speak from a place of strength. You, the
Yes.
Maya, can speak from a place of, you are now on the lands of the Maya nation. And I tell one of my leaders, she's a couple miles from me here where I live, right? I tell her, "Sweetheart, anytime you begin a meeting, you start to say, I am the leader of such and such a community where we are custodians of 14,000 acres of pristine rainforest. What is poor? What is poor about that? You're wealthy."
Of course. Mhm.
Yeah.
So we're changing the narrative. Let's change the narrative, brothers.
Oh, yes. Definitely. Definitely. Well, it's a very engaging morning. I'm saying thank you very much. Very engaging, very powerful. And this is what we
Forward,
want. And this is
huh?
and this is really good to start out, to start out the year. We see
Yes,
what we can accomplish. And
yes,
as we push forward, and as we bring all these things, you're surprised how many people are joining us.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah, that
You
is
see
the
what's happening in England now, Flavia? You see what's happening in England right now?
no,
I
what is
don't know
happening?
the details. at a distance with the royals, right?
Okay, yes.
Now I'm getting an appreciation. Remember when Prince William and Kate, they had visited Garifuna community,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And Spirit was supposed to be there. So I went there. So everybody was calling me from all over the world because I was talking to the prince and to the princess. And
Yeah.
some people were
Mm-hmm.
conflicted about it. And I said to them, guess what happened? Whether we like it or not, there's a lot of healing that needs to take place.
Oh, yes.
And the healing begins with ourselves. And we have to set an example for our children that we are doing something about what has happened, the tragedy of it. And as I see what's unfolding with the royals right now, I see a lot of things moving forward, you know. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that we are competing, you know, favors. It's that it is what it is. I had said to Prince William when he came to Garifuna territory, and we invited him to dance the Garifuna dance. He said he don't know for dance. I said we're going to teach you because it's part of the healing, and the healing is not just for us; it's for all of us to
Oh,
break
yes.
these cycles, change the
Mm-hmm.
narrative. True, you know that
Oh,
William
yes.
and Harry, because of what happened to their mother, right?
Yes.
That's what I said to him. Moving forward now, we're going to have a conversation that will command. You see, before I leave this conversation here, do you know that the one hero for St. Vincent Europe, the sovereign king and chief of Châtelet, who is now people deeper? What that means is that there is that leveraging opportunity. Joseph Châtelet, king, and the people who, like you and Courtney, who descend from this Garifuna lineage, are kings. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If the very entity has recognized our chief as a sovereign king, then one and one make two. That
Yes.
means that men, we need to speak to the young men now. I'm telling every girl, man, you're a king, you know, the young men.
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
descend from Joseph Chatouillet? So,
Yes.
so? All
Yeah. Oh,
right.
yes. Oh, yes.
It's
Definitely.
of treasure, gems, and nuggets that we need to unearth and
Yeah.
claim.
Wonderful. Courtney?
Oh, it's wonderful, you know. I'm here. I'm just wouldn't mind if we could go all day, but I
Yeah.
know you know that's not feasible. So, but no, thank you very much, Cynthia, for you know being with us. You know, you give us some food for thought right here,
Right,
and
right.
you know we're glad about the developments that are happening too.
Yes, yes, yes. The
You know
Godwin
because as
Ellis.
a people we really need it. You know.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Yes. So Flavius, back to you.
Yeah. Well, we are closing out now, but you know that Cynthia will always be back with us. So, we can't do everything one day because her information is so vast, you know. We have to break it up. And this is a journey, it's not a one thing, it's a journey. And we have to keep, you see the thing about this thing, it's not something you set and leave for it to happen and to work. You have to work with it for the duration. So, and I think we're doing a very good job. Or Cynthia is doing a hell of a job. Last year, how long did you spend in Belize last year? 2 weeks?
Stop it. Flavor, stop it. Very, very
2
little time.
weeks?
I travel a lot. I'm not doing
Yeah,
that this
yeah, yeah, you're all over the place, getting things done, putting things in place,
with
That is so great.
a lot of help. I want to recognize my colleague Antoinette Pitkin. She's Jamaican actually. She has given me support because one of the things, for the Guzman Celestino Ellis Center for Garifuna Culture is that we are more than making lemonade out of lemons. We are looking at what it is other people have done that we can learn from them. Because we can learn from them, and what we can learn, how to organize, how to be structured, how to be systematic, how to be efficient. So that's what I am learning, that it's not just walking and talking, it's about being intentional, being strategic, and really, and that's what we can learn from the diaspora, that the systems and structures, they work. We can work those as well and not just get stuck in the emotion. The emotion is beautiful, but the emotion doesn't get us anywhere. Here in Belize, Garifuna, we dance, we beat drum, we have beautiful colors, we're awesome. However, the condition and quality of life of our people is deplorable. And everything
we have to change,
change. We can't blame anybody. I'm not going to blame the University of the West Indies or the Caribbean Development Bank or none of those entities, CARICOM, for anything. Because we allowed it. We allowed them to do what they do. We didn't open our mouth and check and balance them. So now is the time for us to do our homework and check them.
Oh yes, we have to know. Yeah, we have to.
They're functional, but they haven't heard anything from us. They want to know what it is we want and who are we. So they get away with a lot of things because we need to do work.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Courtney, can close out, please?
Yes, thank you once more again. Okay. Yes, Cynthia, thank you once more again. And you know that you're always welcome to the Real Stuff podcast. So, as you'd say to Chuali, Wadani?
Wadani. The time has
come. Wadani. Our time has come, and we are here and happy to just have this broadcast going and to hear from you always about the Garifuna Nation. And surely, I hope when we meet next time, you come with company and that we can have a broader perspective on things. Yeah, so back to you, Flavors.
Thank you very much. And we say goodbye now from the Real Stuff podcast.
You lead us to full. You belong far away away. Ajuguala lebo buseru. Lida mua, lida sungfula. Lida mua, lida sungfula.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
All you gotta do is just speak. One word is enough, and I'm no longer so rough. I forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me know I said me if it could flee. Me have to take away me say. Me have to take away me say. Me have to hide like a thief in the night. Me have to get out of sight.